Hello, everyone. This is Vet Talk, and I'm your host, Sergeant Gonzalo Duran. Once again, we have another honored guest, a veteran and a political leader, Mr. Larry Sharpe. Larry, thank you for being here today.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm very interested in this conversation that we're going to have because not only this is the first time we had a candidate for governor, but also someone that's working within a PAC.
Yes, in 2018, I ran for governor of New York. I ran as a libertarian. I was able to break the 2% mark, which is what matters to get ballot access in New York State. We had a great year. We got about 100,000 votes. All of a sudden, we had ballot access, and within about 1 year, we had 107 libertarians elected in New York State in 2019. It was a great year, a great time. Then 2020 came, and our old monarch, King Andrew Cuomo, second of his name, he decided that he would destroy all the parties. Yep. And he did. He crushed them all the independent parties. They were all gone. And I tried to bring them back again in 2022. I ran again. Tough campaign, had to go to court, got sued off the ballot, didn't work. Bad campaign, but I wanted to make a third party in New York State. And we don't really have a strong third party in New York State right now. We don't have that anymore, which means it's the Democrats rule everything, right? Democrats are so strong in our state. It's almost 3-1 Democrat-Republican. Almost, and most people who would be voting against Democrats are packing up and leaving our state. We're losing about 300,000 every single year. It's really bad. People don't realize how bad it is, to the point where a Republican has not won any statewide election in our state. Not governor, not senator, lieutenant governor, AG, nothing in 22 years.
Now, to throw in some stuff in there, for the people that may not know, there are unregistered non-party or registered non-party members that outnumber
Republicans
Correct. And all the other parties together.
Yep.
If they just pick the party.
That's correct.
one thing. Another thing is libertarian. That's something that's majority of the people don't hear that often.
Yep.
Would you tell the people what a libertarian is?
Libertarian is grossly simple. It is someone who says, you do you. That's the key piece, right? You can be liberal if you want to be, conservative if you want to be. It's about localism. Stop having one city control the entire state. Right? Steuben County, Wyoming County, this is Western New York. They don't think like people in Brooklyn think. And that's fine. Let Brooklyn be Brooklyn, right? Let Wyoming County be Wyoming County. Let North Country be North Country. Let the Hudson Valley be the Hudson Valley. Let the city be the city. Let Long Island be Long Island. We don't do that. We decide, oh, one city controls everything. But I don't want that. Let people be people. That's the issue. It's a key aspect. Localism, stop unfunded mandates, stop controlling every school district, stop controlling everything from either New York City or Albany. That is the key right there. Number one piece.
Another thing you mentioned was, I think you said King Cuomo. That's what you
yes,
the title.
He was our last. Our current monarch is Queen Kathy. She's first of her name.
Okay.
Right. King Cuomo, second of his name. Right. And he has many other titles. King Cuomo. He is the jab mandator. He is the butt grabber. He is all of those things that he is. Now, Kathy Hochul, she is the conservative banisher. She is the business closer. She is all those things. Right. But they're different monarchs.
Now,
hold on. I say monarch because I have no say, and sadly, I don't think you do either, in our politics right here in New York City.
Nope, no, we
have
don't.
no say because if you're not a member of the Democratic Party, you have no say. At where I live, I have a DSA member as my city council, as my state assembly, and as my congressperson. And I have no chance of anyone winning. In my state seat, a Republican hasn't run a candidate in 10 years. So because there's no open primaries, I don't get to vote. It doesn't matter. My vote is irrelevant. So I have no say. So whoever rules me is my monarch. I just hope for a good monarch.
And since they control both chambers,
correct,
a law goes in and it goes
with veto proof. Yes, this is a one-party state. This is a nicer form of North Korea.
Now I bring up Cuomo because when it came to the parties, what maybe a lot of people may not know is that there used to be many parties.
Correct.
And the Conservative Party was one of the individuals that were, or organization that was primary in battling in courts to keep a few of the parties up. So right now, New York has the Democrats, Republicans, Conservatives, and the Family Working Parties.
Yep.
They've eliminated the Independent Party so badly that it's illegal to
Correct.
have a party that's called the Independent Party.
Yes, you can't have it. Correct.
So
yes.
now
but this is why I moved on to. Now I'm the outreach director at American Values 2024, trying to support independent candidates, and the biggest one right now is clearly Robert Kennedy Jr. Right? Yes. Clearly, he's the biggest one right now. He just suspended his campaign in about 10 states because he's trying to back what Trump is trying to do. Right? So what he's done is he's taken out of 50 states. He's going to stay on the ballot in somewhere between 30 and 40, and he's going to be in deep red and deep blue states that doesn't matter. Right? So California is going to go Harris no matter what. You're right. Oklahoma is going to go Trump. So in those states, he wants people to vote for him so that he can break that 5% threshold in a nationwide poll. At the polling booths on the voting day, right? So we can get 5% of the actual electorate. But in the swing states, that really counts. Sadly, about 7 to 10 states will decide the entire election. If you don't live in those 7 to 10 states, when it comes to the president, your vote doesn't count, right? Yeah. So he's trying to make that happen in that regard. And the idea of it is, if you are in a swing state, your vote counts. If you think Trump's better, vote for Trump. You think Harris is better, vote for Harris, whatever. Vote for the person you think is best. You're in a swing state, please do that. If you're not in a swing state, usually your vote doesn't count. My vote doesn't count usually. My vote is usually just a virtue signal, right? Because I don't have any choice. New York goes blue. But now if I vote for Bobby Kennedy in a blue state, that goes as part of the overall vote. We need about 8 million total votes. So that's a beach full of sand. Every vote is 1 grain of sand. If we get those 8 million, we've made a beautiful beach, and we'll have an actual third party across the country. And the reality is, whether you like third parties or not, if you have a third party, now it's not just I yell at each other, right? Most people who are politically savvy at all probably watched at least part of the Harris interview. And most of that interview was, Trump's a bad guy. That was the interview. So if you already like Harris, you already think Trump's a bad guy. I get it. She's talking to her base. Okay. What about other people who don't just think Trump's a bad guy? How about, what are you going to do? What's the policy? What's the issue? Why should I not vote for him, right? All those types of things.
Basically, the DNC convention was just how bad he is and
That's
what
correct.
he's doing. And
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera.
It was anointing the empress, right? We had an emperor. Now we get an empress. They just anointed her. I won as many primaries as she did, by the way. We're equal on that. I won the same number of primaries. I won. And all of a sudden now she's going to be our empress. And why? Because Trump is bad. For your base, that's fine. Your base hates Trump. I get it. I'm not blind. I see Democrats who can't stand Trump. Okay, I get it. But then why should anybody else care? Nothing. You put an independent party guy in there, people stop paying attention. Think about what guys like Bobby Kennedy Jr. are talking about. They're talking about things like the American dream. They're talking about things like stopping the wars. They're talking about things like family health, right? All those types of things. They're talking about these things. Now you've watched Trump has moved towards that. And that's what people want to hear. They don't want to hear just other guy bad. Unless you're already sold. But if you're already there and you just think that Trump's bad, I'm not going to convince you. I got it. But there's literally, to your point, millions upon millions, I'm not going to say that's wrong, tens of millions of Americans who have not decided what party they want to be part of. They should be here to go, oh, tell me why. And we're not doing that.
Now, to keep it a little more centric with New York, if you're wanting to get onto or just start the new party,
yep.
I mean, I don't know exact numbers. I'm sure you're more detailed on that. But from what I remember, you need close to 100,000.
It's 2 parts. You have to get on the ballot.
Yep.
To get on the ballot, you officially need 45,000 good signatures to get on the ballot. The reality of it is, particularly this year, the DNC has spent thousands upon thousands, that's even exact, millions of dollars, throwing Bobby Kennedy off the ballot. So they sued him 3 times in New York State, trying to get him off the ballot. He submitted almost 150,000. So I want you to imagine this. 150,000 people in New York State signed a piece of paper saying, I would like Bobby Kennedy Jr. on the ballot. Where is the harm in letting him on the ballot? If you don't like him, don't vote for him, right? I was on the ballot. Lots of people didn't vote for me. Didn't harm anybody, right? If you like me, vote for me. If you like him, vote for him. If you don't, don't. Being on the ballot doesn't hurt anybody, but judges are throwing him off the ballot constantly. He's lost twice already. We have 2 more lawsuits coming up, an appeal and a new lawsuit. Lawsuit next week, and then an appeal in a couple of weeks. If he wins either of them, he's on the ballot. If he gets on the ballot, now that is in the end, now he must get either 2% of the vote or 130,000 votes in November, whichever is higher. So 2% of the electorate for New York State or 130,000 votes, whichever is higher, and then that becomes an official party. The party he's under right now is the We the People Party.
Well, strategically speaking, and this is from an outside perspective
Sure.
right now, when Trump was battling Biden, you could see that having Kennedy on would take away from the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
Now with Trump and against Harris, it's more, and then him joining Trump is to cipher more votes towards him.
Yes.
Now,
well, the issue I think you see is if you look back at when Biden was running, most Democrats were really disheartened. I have a lot of Democrat friends. They were really disheartened, like, oh, we can't win, Trump's going to win, the war's over. When Biden dropped down and Harris jumped in, they were just energized. They're like, oh my God, we got a shot. We could beat Trump. Oh my God, we could beat Trump. Almost nobody thought Biden could beat Trump. And that was probably accurate. I don't think Biden could have beaten Trump. But Harris, now they're excited. They're back on board. They're raising money. They're jumping up and down again. So that excited them tremendously. When you look at polling, generally speaking, actually, Bobby Kennedy took a little bit more from Trump than Harris. About 55-45. So a little bit more he took, depending upon what poll and where you are, but it was very close. Now that he has decided in the swing states to drop out in the swing states and to only vote in those other areas, he's in the area of 5 to 10%. He's polled as low as 5, as high as 19. So say the average is 12. I'm just making that up, right? So the average is about 12%, maybe that's his average. If that's the case, if even half of them decide to still vote, not for him, more of them are going to vote for Trump than Harris. That's 1 or 2% bump for Trump in swing states. That's a serious bump. That could make it winnable right there. That could decide all 7 of those swing states.
But now going back to your original question, why not keep Kennedy on the ballot? Those 2 reasons are why they wouldn't want him on the ballot. Different reasons, different...
No, I'm going to tell you why they want him on the ballot. Here's the real issue. What the Democrats don't want is someone like him doing anything. There was a story, if you remember, that Bobby Kennedy Jr. went to the Democrats to get a job, went to the Republicans to get a job. None of that's true. That's made up. He was open to talking to everybody. He never went to Democrats to get a job. Why? They hate him. Democrats see him as a traitor who must be destroyed. They don't see him as a regular enemy. He's worse. He used to be one of us. We have to crush him. They wouldn't even talk to him. In fact, the only people suing Bobby Kennedy Jr. across the entire state is not the RNC. It's DNC. The DNC, and they have a Clear Choice PAC, which I lovingly call the CCP. They have the CCP, and DNC, who are literally suing him off the ballot. They put $1 billion aside to destroy him. Republicans are like, whatever, do you. They didn't care. Democrats went after him aggressively. So that's the goal. They want to crush him. It was Trump who called Bobby Kennedy Jr. after there was an attempt on his life. Right? Trump had an attempt on his life. I don't know this, but maybe it changed him. Who knows? You have an attempt on your life. Could change you. Yes. Right? And he called him like, hey, you've been through this in your family. Let's have a conversation. Remember, there was they leaked that call.
Yep.
They leaked it. He called him. And Bobby said, yeah, he called me twice. And I talked to him. Bobby was open to talking to Harris. And his staff reached out trying to get jobs because the staff got afraid that they wouldn't have jobs in November. So his staff members reached out to the Harris campaign to try to get jobs because they're former Democrats. And of course, the media said, it's Bobby Kennedy trying to get a job. Not true. It was his staff trying to get a job, not Bobby Kennedy. They would never take care of him. The Democrats want to destroy him. That is their goal. Republicans saw Bobby Kennedy as another guy I can make a deal with, which is what it was. Yeah. Because he wasn't a Republican, Republicans didn't feel betrayed by him. They thought, oh, another guy. Okay, if we can bring him aboard, bring him aboard. They brought aboard Tulsi Gabbard. They brought aboard many Democrats. So it was an easy call for Republicans and an obvious vindictiveness for the Democrats.
Now, I want to go backtrack a little bit because you have a pen on, and as a former veteran, we'd love to get your perspective. Can you give us a little bit of background of your service?
Yes, I joined the Marine Corps in the 80s. I don't know if I'll tell you what 80, but I'll just give you this. Ronald Reagan was my first commander-in-chief. Okay. So I'm giving away my age. But yes, that's when I joined. And I did 7 years, mostly overseas, but sometime in Virginia and in California. And I was at the schools in Virginia during the first Gulf War. I'm a first Gulf War era veteran. I did not go to combat, but I was in during that time. And I was training reservists to send them over because they would bring all the reservists over there. So yeah, I spent time in artillery and time in intelligence. I got out, I was E6.
And how did you get into mixing politics?
I actually didn't like politics at all. I was really a rebel. I was the guy who voted for, literally I voted for guys like, Ralph Nader and Ross Perot, anybody who was the outsider I voted for. And after Obama, I was very disappointed and disenchanted. I felt betrayed, and I was like, I don't want politics at all. And then I heard Gary Johnson speak. Gary Johnson in 2012, he was an entrepreneur like I was. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. And we were like the same kind of person. I was like, okay, he's speaking like this stuff makes sense. What's he, a librarian? Oh, libertarian, what's that? And that's when I started to move on into the Libertarian Party. I ran for the VP slot in 2016. I did not win that. I was running to be the nominee for the Libertarian Party. Bill Weld beat me by 31 votes. Not that I'm counting. I'm not counting. Stop counting. I'm not counting. I'm not bitter. 31 votes. I'm not bitter at all. So I lost by 31 votes, and it became a Johnson-Weld ticket and not a Johnson-Sharpe ticket. And then in 2018, I ran for governor. 2022, I ran for governor. And I may run again in New York State in 2026 for governor. I might, but the problem is I have to have a party I can run in.
Well, I would like to change that, and we'll talk offline about that part. With that being
Maybe
said,
we have one. Oh, I didn't even know. So yes.
With that being said, so how did you get in connection with the PAC?
I saw clearly the advantage of Bobby Kennedy Jr., right? Because what I wanted to talk about always is ballot access. They did not understand how hard it was going to be. And you see even now, Bobby Jr. will tell you that. So will Nicole Shanahan. Nicole Shanahan is his vice president. She'll say it too. They had no idea how hard this was going to be. I was like, I've been there. Been to court, done the stuff, watched how corrupt and how bad it is. I've been there. So I wanted to help the PAC in understanding about ballot access, and I wanted to be able to talk about it. And to my glee, I've been able to talk about ballot access more in the last 6 months than every single libertarian combined in the last 50 years. I've been on TV, radio, podcast, ballot access, ballot access, ballot access. People tell me all the time, you third parties, why don't you run better candidates? They physically stop us.
Yep.
They physically stop us. You see it here in New York. You see Democrats sue Democrats off, Republicans sue Republicans off. They sue each other off the ballot in New York State. Forget us. Oh my God, we got no shot, right? They devastate us. If they don't let us be on the actual ballot, how can you vote for us? And people don't see how hard it is.
You know, I've been lucky to have the independent chairman and the conservative chairman on the show, and the state party chairman for the conservative party as well. And I've spoken to them, you know, to get some perspective of the ballot access. Now, for the general public that may not understand, let's say you're running for city council, you're running for a party level, or you know, you're not a part of the party, just trying to get on to the ballot. You're talking about thousands of dollars.
Yes.
And then that doesn't include if they're trying to sue you.
Yes.
You know, and then earlier when I mentioned, you know, the 100,000 to try to get on the ballot, you know, there's a smaller number, but you have to get 3 to 4 times because you know they're going to challenge you, even if you do
And they
it all
will
right.
challenge every single signature with the most minute, insanely stupid things. Literally, they'll say, okay, let me see this person. Okay, he wrote his address as Brooklyn. Now, Brooklyn, if you live in New York City, you know that's the name of the borough, and the people, right, that's her address. It isn't the official name of the Brooklyn, of the borough. The official name is Kings County. So if you put Brooklyn and not Kings County, they will throw that out. Now, here's my point. Why? And why does a judge not go, that's insanely stupid? You have just taken away the rights of that individual because because of a clerical error. But judges do it all the time. The judges, particularly the low-level judges in our state, are an embarrassment. I hope they're watching. You're an embarrassment. They're an embarrassment. They literally support the party structure over the rights of the individuals on a daily basis. They do it constantly. I had one judge tell me to my face, he goes, these laws are fine. They're meant to keep people off the ballot. Why is that a good thing? Why would a judge think that's a good thing? Let people, to be very forward, you know this. Conservative, you know this. Hundreds of thousands of people some years vote conservative, knowing it's not going to all of a sudden make the Conservative Party a great, huge party. They do it as a protest vote to show that they want the state to be more conservative. Am I right?
Yes.
All the time.
I can tell you right now, for last year's city council race, there was a few conservative members that had 120% of the voting.
Yep.
Obviously, that wasn't just conservatives in the line. It was Democrats, Republicans,
Yes.
and others, or maybe unregistered. But, you know, it's dependent on the person,
Yes.
how hard they work and stuff like that.
But my point is, if someone writes libertarian, they know we're not going to win, but they write libertarian. Why would someone get up out of bed, not watch Netflix, not get on their PlayStation, and go and that's a protest vote. That is free speech. So if someone says, I want a party on a ballot, the judge should go, oh, they want to exercise their free speech. Be on the ballot. There is literally no harm, none, in keeping some. Larry, what if there's 7 people on the ballot? So what? What's the harm? What if there's 10? And what's the harm? The only harm is the 2 major parties may get hurt worse than anybody else. But if you don't like the person, don't vote for them. But is there harm if we take them off the ballot? Yes, because you've attacked somebody's freedom of speech. And more importantly, if Democrats keep winning across the state, not locally. Locally, Republicans, conservatives win locally all the time in New York State. I'm talking statewide. In a statewide situation, if I can't see who's voting third party, I have no reason whatsoever to make any changes to my policies. And that's the point. They don't want to see it. They don't want to know it. Imagine if libertarians or Greens or whomever got 10, 20% of the vote. they would have to start changing what they're doing. They don't want to.
And they'll try to find more ways to make that not happen.
Correct, yes.
Whereas, and I'm not going to say I agree with the administration because I'm an administrator. For me, it's more the repercussions of you running for office. So let's say somebody's running with a solid reputation of a community member. They'll try to find ways to attack their businesses,
100%.
their homes,
Yep.
their reputations and stuff like that. And then on top of that, you have the legal aspect of it.
Yes.
If it costs you $5,000 to $10,000 just to run for city council, but it costs you $50,000 to fight the legal battles, come on, how can you?
Cost me
imagine?
$400,000 in 2022. Yes, and I lost. $400,000. Yes, it is insane. The amount of work they make you do is crazy.
Okay. Well, with that point, let's for people that want to know how to get the information about you, who you are, how do they reach you?
Well, you can check out either just Google Larry Sharpe. I'm on all the things. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all those things. Or check out av24.org. That is American Values 2024. That's the PAC that supports independent candidates, currently supporting the most popular one, which is Robert Kennedy Jr.
Okay. For the audience out there that would like to be on the show, just so you can understand, Vet Talk has always been an organization dedicated to helping veterans get resources and passing on resources to the community members as well. But we started during the election years of 20 whatever, and since then we've always given candidates the opportunities. We've had elected officials, party leaders. Today I'm excited to have a veteran who's a part of a PAC, who's also run for the governor level. So it's an honor to have you, Larry Sharpe, today. And for those that want to go on, please feel free, reach out to us, let us know. And as always, before we sign off, I want to say thank you to our executive producers, J Empire Media and Vero G Productions, for helping us with another awesome year. Also to our home station, MMN, for giving us this opportunity. And as always, God bless America.